So there we have it, guys, bringing out a couple more names that are on the outskirts, really, of the big names, but still horses that are capable on their day. Graeme mentioning Universal, Mike mentioning Pomp and Power, who, Graeme, you were just mentioning off air, ran in that same race as Comedy Ding, that sprint race, and was a much better behaved horse.
Well, I'm led to believe that Milan behind the scenes has been doing a lot of work with Pomp and Power. And obviously he's a very, very good horse, but he needs to get his attitude right. And he seemed to go okay last time out when they brought him back to 1,200 meters. I think the point of the exercise was to get, if you recall in his previous start, he never actually loaded. They never got him anywhere close to the starting gates, and he was pulled out at the start. And I think that was about as low as he could go as far as his behavior was concerned, and Justin and Greg Bortz and the rest of the team pulling their hair out. But they certainly got him to the races in that 1,200 meter sprint, and they got him into the stalls, and he jumped out nicely and he showed a lot of pace. Obviously 1,200 meters not his game these days, but yeah, let's the right Pomp and Power rocks up, because the more horses we have at the peak of their powers and at the top of their game, the more exciting the racing. And that's what we're all looking forward to. I mean, this Cape really promises a lot. And I think some of these little races that Justin Vermaak has added to the program, the Bantry Bay Stakes, which was that 1,200 meter race, the Summer Bowl for fillies and mares, which is being run on Saturday, which sees Arena and Chansonnet.
Yes, I was going to come to that
together with Silver Darling.
Yeah.
You know, these kind of races opening up other opportunities, different avenues for horses to get to the end goal, and keeping horses separate till the big day, which is also makes it much more interesting and intriguing.
Well, talking about the program and what Justin and the team have done, I'm so pleased to see the juvenile program so embellished with prize money. I think that is fantastic for Cape racing, that future stars have come out of a lot of those juvenile races in the Cape. And by putting some proper prize money into those races, I think there's going to be some cracking individuals that we'll see there as well.
I think it's a wonderful, wonderful initiative. I've long lamented that we're getting our 2-year-olds later and later and later out onto the track. You spoke about back in the day. Well, back in the day, Jamaican music, there was every inch a classic horse, won the Western Cape Nursery on New Year's Day. So we've really pushed the 2-year-old program out, but this is a great initiative to bring it back, create the incentive to race. The series is up and running soon, and it's going to be very exciting on all fronts.
You were around. I remember you calling. I wasn't on the scene then, but I just remember the Top Sport Bloodline Million races and just how much fanfare there was around there. I'm talking not Cape Town, I'm talking Joburg in earlier on in the year. But by that stage, the juveniles are already impressed and already had a number of runs, and we're going into that with reputations at stake.
Well, the first 1 million rand race ever run in South Africa was, of course, the Top Sport Bloodline Million, which was won by Leopard Strike.
That's
which
right.
I called was one of the best races I think ever called. Stephen Jupp won it.
Yes, I backed to Rebel's Reward, which I think ran second.
For Henry van Niekerk.
For Henry van Niekerk, yes, yeah, and Frikkie.
Look, 2-year-old racing is great, but I mean the point is, if you look at what's happening in other Southern Hemisphere countries like Australia, they've already run 2-year-old features, and we haven't had our first juvenile maiden yet anywhere in the country.
Yeah,
it used to start in September. I was going through some records. There was a 20-horse juvenile maiden event at Clarewood with 20 runners in September.
Really? Yeah.
When you go back 20 or 30 years.
Yeah.
And we need to get those 2-year-olds out running earlier.
Okay. Well, let's
move on. I'm sure you would, if you go and look at the history of horses like Sea Cottage and Colorado King and those type of sit-led horses, they would have started their season, juvenile campaign, I would hazard to guess, well before Christmas of their 2-year-old. Yeah.
Well, Sea Cottage, as I recall it, I stand to be corrected, but I'm pretty sure I'm right, made his debut in December before Christmas, not long before Christmas. Siverite wasn't available, so Bert Abercrombie had to take the ride.
Yeah.
And there's a story that goes with it that Sid Laird said to him, you don't have to move a muscle, you don't have to panic, this horse will win as far as you can throw a stone, just sit quietly, shake the reins at the 200 and he'll win going away. And at the 400, I think Bert was panicking because I think he was still 6, 7, 8 lengths off them. So he gave Sea Cottage a crack, hit the front before they got to the 200, won by 9 lengths or something, and didn't get a very warm welcome back winners enclosure from Sid Laird.
Yeah.
We had a full go at Abercrombie for being a little impatient and lacking a little trust.
The one anomaly with that always intrigued me with Sea Cottage is that he didn't win the Cape Guineas and he could never win the Met. And that's an anomaly for arguably South Africa's greatest horse. The 2 big races in the Cape that I love, along with the Queen's Plate, he couldn't win either of them.
Can we move on, guys? I want to go to the sprinting, just to the sprinting category, because the sprinting category, pardon me for saying so, but I mean, we don't have an outstanding sprinter at the moment, I don't think. And there's a number of them that can line up for it. I mean, we go back to last year's Cape Flying Championship, where everyone turned around after the race and said, Bahika, you know, he's a good sprinter, but is there anything now that stands out at this early stage to watching the sprinting ranks to come through? What is your feeling on this, the Cape Flying Championship, for example, Graeme?
Tough question, very tough question. I suspect the winner will come from up north. I suspect Michael Azzi will have the winner again. I'm just not sure which one. But you're right, we're thin on the ground in terms of top sprinters, which was certainly not the case a number of seasons back. And we're thin on the ground in terms of stayers. So the concentration of our population is very definitely 1,400 to 2,000 to 2,200 meters, that sort of range. So we're thin on the ground with sprinters. So I'm not going to even hazard a guess. I'm not even going to hazard a guess as to who might be my early selection for the Cape Flying Championship. We've got a few weeks to sort that out. Sergey, of course, was full value for his 1,200 meter win the other day. He's a good horse. He's very consistent. He loves the track and trip. But he falls short, in my opinion, of being a grade 1 kind of sprinter. He may yet go on to prove me wrong, but yeah, I'm at a loss as to decide who would be my early selection for the Cape Flying Championship. So back to me on that one.
You answered the question, I think, in the way I'd answered. It would have come from up north somewhere, and it's leaning strongly for me towards a Joburg horse winning it. Mike? Just
as a matter of interest, that good sprinter that Justin Snaith had, who's been off for a while.
Rio Carrari. Rio Carrari ran in the same race, didn't it, as Comedy Ding, didn't it, Graeme?
Yes, and he ran second last. He wasn't 100%. When I spoke to Justin before the race, he described him as 7 out of 10 in terms of being prepared, but still, he didn't shape. He ran second last, and yeah, the jury's out as to whether he's ever going to come back to his best. It's not impossible, of course, but I think the jury's out on Rio Carrari, which leaves a bit of a gap that has to be filled by somebody.
Let's finally on this discussion, let's go back to that fillies category. You know, let's toss Captain's Ransom out and bet without Captain's Ransom in the race. We've got the Chanzonnets and the Marinas and the Desert Miracles, etc., etc. Let's talk about that category and talk about the Group 1 fillies races. You know, should Captain's Ransom not be around for that? Where do we gravitate towards, Graeme, in your opinion?
Well, obviously, we're going to see Chansonnet run on Saturday. It's been a bit of a worry that Andre Null in Cape Town has gone, I think, 75 runners without a winner.
Is it that many? I didn't realize it was that many.
It's about that many now, but I'm firmly expecting Chansonnet to bring that bleak run for the Nell Stapleton, and the wheel has got to turn. So I think in the event that we get our wish and Captain's Ransom takes on Jet Dark in the Lawrence King's Plate, then I would expect Chansonnet to win the Mallorca Stakes, and I would expect Marina to win the Paddock Stakes. Now, Marina races against Chansonnet on Saturday. Of course, Sparkling Water, Mike de Kock might have something to say about that, but I'd like to see how she comes out of the Summer Cup.
Yes.
The Betway Summer Cup, because I mean that's a tough race, and it's a tough race. It comes about 6 weeks before the Paddock Stakes. So for the moment, I would say Marina, top choice for the Paddock Stakes. Chansonnet, top choice for the Mallorca Stakes. Not discounting that Chansonnet can't win the Paddock Stakes. And Sparkling Water, I reserve judgment until I see how she comes out of the Betway Summer Cup.
Mike, any names to add to that?
Ciao Bella. I mean, let's see how she goes in the Fillies Guineas. You know, 3-year-olds have got a pretty good record in those two races.
Yeah, I think 1,800 meters might be a stretch for Ciao Bella at this stage, but certainly for the Mallorca Stakes. But I think that Nico was asking for a view amongst the older fillies. And so those are the ones that I would think. Obviously, there might be a 3-year-old that comes through the ranks to take them on, as there has been in seasons past.
Yeah. And what about, which filly won the Garden Province last year?
She's a keeper. She's gone to stud.
Okay.
Yeah.
But if you take Captain's Ransom out of it, Chansonnet would be my pick.
Absolutely. She's a class package, there's no doubt.
Yeah.
She runs on Saturday, Mike, so we're going to watch her with interest. She runs over 1,600 meters. And she's had a run already this season, so she should be ready. And as I say, Andre Nell's rather bleak spell, which is most unfortunate, should come to an end with Chansonnet on Saturday.
Yeah, let's all be hopeful about that, because we do need champions, and we certainly need the top stables that they are to rise to the occasion in the summer season.
We mustn't lose sight of the fact that Princess Calla is still in training. And
well, I was going to ask, so she's with Sean Terry.
Sean Terry is, I'm not quite sure what he's got in mind for her, but I think he was interviewed by one member of the media a week or so ago and suggested that there could well be a foray into the Western Cape for Princess Calla. So, you know, she's brilliant.
She's perfect for the Paddock Stakes, Princess Calla.
But again, you know, I heard that she was injured after winning the Group 1 on the Highveld, the
Empress Club Stakes.
Empress Club Stakes, and that things went a little pear-shaped after that. She was with Ashley Fortune, now she's with Sean Terry. So let's hope we see a bit of her before she takes him on in the Paddock Stakes so we can assess her well-being. But she's a class package.
Okay, folks, so that's our take on it. It's been once again fantastic to catch up, relive some of the old moments, and just have the prospects of both our interviewees here talking about the summer season in both Johannesburg and Cape Town. My thanks to Mike Wanklin as always. We know that you'll be watching, and we know that you'll be questioning Graeme and I and Neil as to where you can see these races live. It's always been a challenge for you based over in the Middle East, but you've got your own World Cup coming up. I don't know whether you focus a lot on soccer. I know Graeme does. So Graeme, let's just quickly change tack a little bit to the Qatar World Cup, which starts in just a couple of days' time. So you're out there. There must be an absolute frenzy where you are, Mike, with your football and that over there. Are you much of a fan?
I've never really been a football fan, I must be honest. I was more intrigued with the T20 cricket, which I found a very entertaining tournament, to be honest. Lots of ebbs and flows, and England played brilliantly to win it.
They did, yeah.
Obviously, being a South African supporter, I was very disappointed with their performance against the Netherlands, but good, you know, that's the nature of sport these days. I mean, Japan beat us in rugby. We've got a big rugby game against Italy this weekend.
I actually said when we got beat by them in the cricket, I wonder how strong our tulip growing team is if they go over to the Netherlands. You know, you never know what we could do in that. But anyway, Graeme.
Back to the Soccer World Cup.
So tell me who you
backed
back, because
Brazil.
I've got my team. I've got one team. I'm backing.
I don't often have a bet, anti-post bet in soccer. You know, then you got to wait weeks and weeks and weeks to get your dividend, whether you're right or wrong.
Yeah.
But I thought 4-1 Brazil is like Christmas come in November and early December.
Yeah.
I really believe that they'll get it right. I think the conditions will suit them, and I think they're probably, yes, there's temperaments and they're, you know, there are all kinds of things that are going to fit together. But I think Brazil, without question, for me, are the side that they all have to beat in this year's.
Just remind
World
me,
Cup.
Graeme, who won the last World Cup when they played Brazil?
So that would have been in 2018.
Germany? Was it Germany?
Germany, I think.
That would always be the team I would back in the World Cup. The only issue
I know you don't know too much about soccer, Mike, but if you want to have a good value bet, have a bet on Italy.
They're not even there. They're not even there. They're not even there. Yeah, they're not even there.
But
okay, guys.
The interesting thing with football, I mean, Brazil and Germany have probably, through all the ages of the Soccer World Cup, have been the sort of two dominant teams. I don't know what the form is like at the moment for either of those teams.
Germany are struggling.
Yeah, Germany are struggling.
But
I wanted to add just my 2 cents worth, Graeme. I believe you're in the right continent.
Argentina?
Correct. So I made it between Brazil and Argentina, and it's not.
Yeah, I would say that the biggest threat to Brazil would be Argentina.
I like Brazil and Argentina.
Well, there's one big factor to take into consideration here. Is currently the temperature, and it's
tell us what it's like.
Yeah, it's 28 degrees. Okay, so the European-based players, I think, are going to struggle with the heat factor.
Well, that's what I was saying. The conditions will suit the South Americans, although I'm not sure to what extent the stadiums are actually air conditioned or exactly what's going on there. But yeah, the conditions, the heat is going to suit the South Americans a lot more than the Europeans. The British think they've got a heat wave when the temperature gets to 21. So I don't know how they're going to cope. But yeah, Brazil, Argentina, but I have a distinct preference for Brazil.
Okay, that's where we'll end it. Thank you very much. Thanks to Mike Wanklin from Dubai. Thanks to Graeme Hawkins from Cape Town. Always a pleasure. And let's hope that you enjoyed our take on the summer in both Cape Town and in Joburg. Thanks, guys. Always a pleasure.
Thanks. Cheers.